going on, guys? It's Plessis MMA, and today I want to just talk about Israel Adesanya. Posted a video on his YouTube channel, the first video in his training camp that he produced, and he said that he is more reinvigorated and more excited and has that energy back to fight Dricus du Plessis in Perth, Australia at UFC 305. And I think that this is going to be an absolute war between these two guys, and I cannot wait to see. So let's break down Israel Adesanya's newfound energy and of how dangerous this could be, that Israel Adesanya is back in his groove and then back in that contender self prior to this fight with Dricus du Plessis. If you guys enjoy the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to support the channel. And please go down there and leave a comment talking about your opinion on this Dricus du Plessis Israel Adesanya fight, and if you think it's going to be a good one, who do you think is going to win, and how do you think they are going to win. But please go down and hit that subscribe button to support the channel and hit the post notifications bell just so you guys are always notified when the content releases. But let's jump right into the video of Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis, and is he getting that energy back finally? So just recently, Israel Adesanya posted a YouTube video on his YouTube channel, The Last Stylebender, where he was starting his fight camp with Dan Hooker and Kai Kara-France, but he did break us into a little bit of the pre-fight press conference that they had in Perth, Australia, which was Dricus, Israel, Kai Kara-France, and Steve Erceg, and they did a kind of a little segment together to promote the fight, I think right before UFC 303, but Israel Adesanya said, and he posted a clip into that he said once he was staring off against Dricus du Plessis, that he could feel the energy come back into his soul, and he was staring him down like he knows something that no one else does. And Israel Adesanya is going in there to solve the battle for Africa. He kind of explained why he was so torn by the thing about the Battle of Africa, and Dricus did too. Dricus originally said that he wanted to protect Africa because Israel Adesanya moved out of there, and that he is the true African champion because Israel Adesanya, Kamaru Usman, and Francis Ngannou, when he was in the UFC, never lived in Africa and trained there, where Dricus does now in South Africa. But Israel Adesanya is so set on him being that person from Africa and wants to show Dricus du Plessis who the boss of the two is. And I think after that Sean Strickland fight, Israel Adesanya truly was, lost his motivation to go inside the octagon. I know he said he would be returning in 2027 or whatever the number was, but I think Israel Adesanya really found that this fight against Dricus du Plessis was something to motivate him. And as he's always said, and just saying right now, is he doesn't care about that belt. Rather, he's coming for heads. And I think that Israel Adesanya is going to show that in incredible fashion. We all know that Contender Izzy is like a mythical monster coming into the UFC. There's some things, but Contender Izzy is one of those things. You look at that Alex Pereira knockout, even though, like I've stated so many times, that the Alex Pereira knockout isn't as impressive as a lot of other, isn't as impressive as I think it should be, but it is still one of the most impressive things that I have ever seen inside the UFC octagon. And Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker, and Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum. Those were two amazing performances by Izzy, and truly, Contender Izzy is a different breed. But how is Dricus going to really be able to impact this, and is this going to change the fight at all? And yes, I think that this is one of the biggest news lines and news stories coming out of this fight with Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya. We're all questioning the heart of Izzy, and if he's ready to get back inside the octagon, if he's truly going to be motivated to get into a camp and go through the full training essentials to truly prepare for this fight against Dricus du Plessis. And I think that Izzy is 100% motivated and inept with every single little thing that he needs to do to win this fight. And I think Dricus du Plessis is going to have to know that. I think he's going to get an Israel Adesanya that is incredibly aggressive, and that he's incredibly stylistically hard matchup for Dricus du Plessis. And I think that this could turn into a very hard fight for Dricus, but we all know Dricus isn't scared. Dricus holds the belt. He's fought some other killers in there, like Robert Whittaker, who almost beat Israel Adesanya the second time. He fought Sean Strickland, who did beat Israel Adesanya. So I think Dricus knows that this is just talk right now, and he's going to be able to experience it once he gets inside the octagon. Israel Adesanya, if he's motivated and actually wants to go recapture the title or take off Dricus's head, the same thing would be true if he wins this fight, would be something that truly the entire UFC organization needs to keep a watch on. Israel Adesanya, the same thing happened with his fight with Alex Pereira the first time, and his Alex Pereira fight the second time in the UFC, where the first time he was just in there defending his belt and nothing was personal. And yes, he did want to get the win to settle and show that he was a better mixed martial artist than Alex Pereira. But that second time, he went in there and he said he was in a dark place for that fight. A lot of people around him knew that he was going to get the win just because of his attitude and mood leading into that event. And Israel Adesanya was able to channel the energy to do so. And I think that that fight is a lot similar to the fight coming up. Israel Adesanya just came off an embarrassing loss versus Sean Strickland at UFC 293, where Sean Strickland beat Adesanya bell to bell besides that second round. And Israel Adesanya now has a chance to go capture that title against Dricus du Plessis, really to go in there and show that he is the African champion that he says he is, and that he wants to protect Nigeria as his country is, that he was born in and was raised up around. But I do think that this fight is more interesting than ever right now, because we all know that Dricus has such self-confidence in himself, and he has some of the biggest just support from his team, his community, and his country going into this fight in Western Australia. And also Israel Adesanya is 100% going to have his team, his corner, and his mind correct for this fight, because if Izzy was not mentally stable, or I shouldn't say mentally stable, but mentally just fully intact for this fight, Izzy would get absolutely demolished from Dricus because of how good he is. But if Izzy is intact and ready for this fight like he is for all of these other fights, and goes into this fight like he did the Alex Pereira fight the second time, truly, there is no way, in my opinion, that Israel Adesanya is going to lose this fight, or it's going to be very hard for Dricus to win this fight, rather, I think. But Izzy is a different breed. Mythical fighter Israel Adesanya, challenger Izzy, is coming back, and I think that Dricus du Plessis is in for a very hard fight with Israel Adesanya at UFC 305. But this will all be figured out on that night on August 17th. It's only under 2 weeks away, and I cannot wait to see this fight with Dricus and Adesanya play out. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please leave a comment down below if you do think that this mindset change and this just sheer confidence from Israel Adesanya coming off that Sean Strickland loss, which we know he lost a lot of confidence after that post-fight interview of him skipping it and a lot of stuff like that. But please leave a comment down below if you think that this is going to be a major factor in the Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya fight. And please let me know if Dricus needs to change any of his strategies, if Dricus doesn't need to worry, or if Dricus has to stay true to what he has done inside the UFC. Thank you guys so much for watching my content, and please subscribe. It is the best way to help grow my channel. And two, if you guys want to stay intact and in tune with the latest UFC news and content, please hit the post notifications as well. That is the best way to stay notified and be alerted when UFC news drops, because I get on the UFC news as fast as I possibly can. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC MMA content and news.